What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Champion Living Podcast, where we believe that consistency, perseverance, and not taking life too seriously are the keys to success. I'm Doug, the founder and owner and head coach of Champion Living Fitness. Each week, I'll be joined by my coaching staff with the vision of providing trustworthy information about fitness, nutrition, and mindset, and how this all applies to being a professional rodeo athlete, as well as people from all walks of life. Are you ready to become a champion? Let's go.
At 8 o'clock at night, because then you don't
go to bed.
Then you go to bed and you don't.
Well, that one I posted early. I posted earlier than I usually do. I posted at like 5 p.m. and it like took off at the beginning really well. And what I've noticed is that my reels this week, 70 to 75% of my views are non-followers, which is very not typical for me. The majority of my views usually are from followers, right? Which, I mean, I don't have a ton, but like this reel right here, view insights. I'm sorry, I exaggerated, but that core one, 66.9% of the views or counts reached anyway were non-followers, and it resulted in 5 follows, which immediately stopped after I looked at Instagram.
Those ones typically when they shift from like majority followers to majority non-followers, like I see a big, like it'll not viral. I don't think that's the right word, but kind of take off a little bit.
The one before that, 55% non-followers.
Out of the 300 people that saw it, that's pretty damn good, buddy.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Before that, 60% non-followers. So this week, typically it's the other way around, right? Like I would have like 60-40 followers to non-followers, or 70-30 followers to non-followers. Anyway, so, but yeah,
it's just really riveting
My
stuff.
watch time is going up. So, say that again.
That's how much you watch Instagram.
Yeah, probably.
You know what I figured out about Instagram? I don't know shit. Anytime I think I have something figured out, I'm like, oh yeah, I got this. Nah.
Nope.
Nothing. I don't know what the deal is.
I think that's everybody.
It is. I have
even the people that are like social media experts.
Yeah.
Will say the same exact thing.
Yeah. Well, they're cracking down on content that's not original. So if you're resharing things or that aren't yours, they're taking that. They don't want that to happen, because what was happening was people were taking TikTok videos that are not theirs. They were just sharing them to meme pages or whatever and getting millions and millions of views and likes and whatever. And I know that they're trying to crack down and bring that back to the attention being on original content makers, creators.
If they said if there's identical content shared, then when it shows up in a For You page, like if a repost starts going viral, they will swap it so that on the For You page, the original will show up and not the repost.
Yeah. So I think it's just a weird time in Instagram land. But I will say, even less views, the traction seems to be a lot more. For instance, I would have a post that got 50 or 60,000 views on a very rare occasion, but you get one of those, and you maybe have you have a couple thousand likes and maybe like 5 or 6 comments. But now, and some of my posts I'm setting up that way, but I have like 400 likes and 200 comments and 150 shares, and it's just way less people seeing it, which is weird, because you'd think that's the thing that's driving it. I thought was the commenting and interaction. So who the hell knows? I'm just going to keep firing away and hoping people see it, because at the end of the day, that's all I really give a shit about, is helping people, and
that's exactly
the algorithm
right.
can suck it.
I could drive myself crazy trying to figure out how to post and how to don't make clips any longer than 2 seconds. And it's like, you know what? Like, I'm going to put value out there. I just want to like provide some help. And don't get me wrong, I would love to have something that does really well, but at the end of the day, like, I don't want to change who I am to gain followers. Does that make sense? Or I don't want to put a different face out there. I don't want to pretend to be somebody I'm not, or do something that I'm not.
And that's the worst thing you could do, probably. Like if somebody meets you in person, like they should feel like they already know you.
That's exactly
because
right.
you should be the same as you were on social media.
Pretty simple. I'm a pretty simple person, right? You guys know that. Simple-minded. Very simple-minded.
Kind of man.
Free bird. No,
I don't think I sent you this, but I will send you this Hormozy post. I think it'll make you feel a little bit better, Logan.
Oh, I did the pause double the other day.
Did you pause double at Chipotle?
Oh, dude, and he gave me a big old heaping first spoonful.
Dude, it's that
I'm talking about. It was huge.
Of all the good advice that Hormozy has ever given, that's the best one.
And I was like, oh, you know what? I'll actually do a double meat. And he like looked at me, and I know he knew. He was like, double, huh? Like he didn't say it, but I knew he knew what I was doing. And he was like, okay. And he just dumps like a meager spoonful the second time. I'm like, well, that's fair. You loaded me up on the first one. It probably evens out. But anyway, it was anyway, I'm sorry. Continue. Hormones. So I had to explain the whole thing to Lacey. She was like, wow, you got double meat, huh? Is that why it was so expensive? I was like, let me explain to you the methodology. And I told her, she was like, cool, you're an idiot. I don't care. It's like,
way more protein.
Continue.
Wait, no, I need an explanation. What the hell is this? What are we talking about?
You don't know the pause double?
The pause double, dude. Chipotle pause double. Hormozy was talking about like when he was in college, to get enough protein on a budget, you go in there, and if you want to get double meat, you don't ask for double meat right off the bat. Like you have to go in there. They'll
give you like 2 little spoonfuls.
Yeah, they give you 2 little scoops. So you get like rice, and then you get steak on there, and so they'll load you up, a big spoonful of steak. So it's a pause. Oh, actually, you know what? I'll have double meat, and then they give you another big spoonful.
Because they already gave you a big spoonful, so then you say double.
Yeah, I get it.
Well, no, I have to match it. Yeah.
That's exactly the response I got from Lacey. Yeah, I get it. It's stupid, and I don't care. That's exactly the response I got from Lacey. I'm like over here feeling like I'm an entrepreneur over here. I'm freaking conning Chipotle out of 4.
You're a con man.
4 extra steak bits. I got an extra 9 grams of protein because of that pause double. Thanks, Hormozy. Boom.
Entrepreneurs create business. Con men get extra things for less money. That was good. Okay. Good for you.
Gotta get in where you fit in.
Okay.
Anyway,
take that note. That's a good one.
But Hormozy made this post, like, how he's usually talking about, like, how to like increase. I don't know if he actually ever talks about increasing like your Instagram following, except on very rare occasions. But he did talk about like a woman that was a registered dietitian, and 100% of her clients came from her social media, and she has like 1,000 followers, and her posts would get like 19 engagements. And he's like, there's real people on the other side of those posts. Like if you're getting 19 people that like your stuff and they're qualified leads, like that's 19 people that might sign up for your thing. Like, so it's not like it's falling on deaf ears just because it has a low, or what we would think of as a low number. Like, think of 20 years ago. How often did you get a chance to present your product in front of 20 people
every day?
Every day. Like, and so that was a pretty cool.
That's a super powerful thing to realize. Yeah. Like your perspective on that matters big time. I think the thing we get frustrated with the most on the socials isn't the fact that we're not getting thousands of views. It's that this many people follow this account and only this many people are seeing it. It's like, how is that possible? Yeah. If there's that many people, something's going wrong there. Which even on my stuff, I follow a lot of people and I only see, I feel like 10 people's stuff. Yeah. It's the same stuff wild. Over and over. I want to see some new stuff. I want it to give me new content. I want to keep looking at the same shit.
There's the Instagram logo in the top left when you're on your main, like when you first open the app where it says Instagram at the top, there's a little drop down. And if you hit that drop down, it'll shift from the algorithm to following, and it'll go back to that old style where it was chronological order of just the people you follow. And so if you ever get like frustrated at like, why am I seeing the same ad 5 times, or why am I seeing the same post 5 times, you just go hit that and then it'll actually show you your followers again.
For a guy that spends all day
answering, not your followers, the people that you're following.
No, that's clutch information.
My feed just completely changed. It is actually stuff I'm interested in. This is
exactly.
great.
And so then you don't get all the bull crap. You get the stuff that you actually signed up to enjoy.
Noted.
We just
Everyone
need to lock
listening,
that
go ahead
on
and change yours over to following. I had no clue. Thank you for that, Paul.
Yeah, you have to do it every time you open the app again.
That is
of course.
dumb.
Man, that's okay.
Breath of fresh air for sure.
2 clicks.
Breath of fresh air.
2 clicks.
That
is very, very handy. It wouldn't be such a big deal if they didn't tease me back in whatever 21 or 22, where like things were just popping off. You could post anything and it would go nuts. And so like it was like I had a little taste of things doing well on social media, and then they ripped the rug right out from underneath of me.
You shouldn't have messaged that hooker on the messages, bro.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. The little the little eggplant emoji and the tongue out emoji one, the messages that come through where you're in a group with like you and like 17 other people that you haven't talked with in 25 years, and 3 of them you don't even know. Yeah.
And what did I get shadow banned for again? Know. I don't. You were some spam account messaged you, and you were jacking with them.
I posted a screenshot of the spam message, and they reported. Yeah, they reported me, and Instagram like slapped my wrist about it. I was like, "Really? You got to be kidding me!"
Ever since then, you have not had good luck with Instagram.
That was what it was. That was what it was. Don't piss off the bots because they'll get you. I'll show you.
Piss off the bots.
Here we are.
Terminator is coming to life.
Here we are, man. That post. Speaking of Instagram, that post that you guys made yesterday on the, I don't know. I don't even know who actually made it. Collabed with all of us on the podcast. Man, that thing popped off. That was so cool to hear from that many listeners and stuff right there. And I love that there was multiple people asking about a return from injury or training through injury or whatever. They were like, "Oh, we need to hear about that." And we had just got done recording that episode 6 hours before. I'm like, perfect. We do have a little bit of a finger on the pulse of what people want to talk about. So that's awesome.
It is. I hope that episode gives them what they're looking for, because it's so dang hard to tell someone that's like, everyone says a different stage. It's hard to say without an evaluation and talking to a doctor that's evaluated them and done everything right. Yeah. So when we're giving that information, I was like trying to be general, but also it's hard to be general because you need to give specifics. But I hope they kind of got something from it and can use it towards that, because that was the majority of the questions. And, I even messaged one of the guys on there. I'm like, you can always just call me, dude. Like, we're here. We're accessible. You can reach out for help. We're not going to charge you to help you out and give you information. That's what we're here for. We want to help anybody we can. So if you have questions, email, DM us, whatever. Been saying that a lot more on the show, and we're getting a lot more of those messages, which has been cool. Definitely keep them coming. If you guys have anything that you need, holler at us, or any ideas. Want to host a school, like any of the above, we're all ears for ideas and just helping the next generation of athlete. I posted kind of our hype video for the bull riding school again last night, and it just got me so fired up thinking about, like, I've been nervous as shit every time we've gone into one of these, like really nervous, and I'm nervous this time, but in a different way. Like, I want to make sure. Like, we redid the book. We added more value to our workbook.
We upgraded everything this time. So it almost feels like the first time again.
And that's where everything has
been upgraded.
That's where I'm at. Like, I was running through the workbook, and we present this thing. It's not like we're just like, oh, here's the information. Like, it's an actual quote unquote lecture, if you will. And so I'm going through my information, what I'm going to be talking about. And I had butterflies in my stomach. My freaking mouth was getting dry. My palms were sweating. I was like, God, what's wrong with you? Like, every time I just get amped up about it. But this is going to be so different in the sense that we just upped the game. Like you said, we upped the ante on everything, the facility, the book, the information we provided, the coaches. Like, I can't wait to see Chase and Andrew and you and Tyler. And like, we've got some guests showing up that are going to be some surprises for guys, which are going to be cool. And I hope they end up coming through, because it's going to be awesome to be surrounded by so much greatness. And I just thoroughly enjoy watching those elite guys working with those younger kids and seeing those kids change every day. Like they get so much better every day, mentally, physically. You see them change every time they get on the drop barrel. And like with the bulls we're getting, like we're gonna be able to match them up perfectly for what they need to work on and what level they're on at, and we're gonna see them make changes that it would usually take months to see in literally 4 days, and it's gonna be incredible. I'm fired up.
I did. It was back maybe in January, or maybe it was even in the fall. I don't remember. I think it was January. I think it was right when we got home from Australia. I put out that survey of past students and like what did you like about OPA? What did you not like about OPA? And like the universal thing that everybody said they liked was the environment. They're like, you can't, like, this environment is just unmatched. And I think that's one of the things that we're doing this time is like, we've stepped up the environment even, like, so it was already top notch before. And like, now it's going to be even better this time. And like, it's going to be so cool. And yeah, I'm definitely nervous like you are too, just in that sense of like, I want everything to go well. But I think like almost half the guys they were either my clients before, they're my clients currently. So I have a good relationship with a lot of them already. So that's kind of put my mind at ease a little bit, but
no, it's going to be great, man. It's just, yeah, I'm fired up and it's coming up so dang quick. I'm literally leaving tomorrow. So, today getting everything packed up, trying not to forget anything. I am the king of forgetting things, but, this time we won't have to mess around with our projectors on sheets and stuff. So that'll be nice.
we've got TVs, we've got the whole gym. We don't have to bring our own equipment.
Gym, recovery.
Usually we bring in bands and the kettlebells and stuff.
They have cold whirlpools. They have hot tub. I think they have sauna. They have everything, and everything is just right there in this little like quarter-mile radius. It's going to be sweet, and we'll be excited to kind of bring all that information to you. I think it'll be the episode after this. Will be us checking back in after the school. So, excited. It's going to be great. Hey, today we're going to jump into a little bit about some self-sabotage. And that was a common theme on the questions that we had on that post on our Instagram page. If you don't follow our Instagram page for the podcast, it's Champion Living Media, all one word. Posting clips on there, posting questions, question posts where we can get ideas from you guys. You guys can interact with us and tell us how we can help you more. But this was a common theme in that post was mindset and kind of self-talk, self-sabotage. How do you get out of that vicious cycle of kind of holding yourself back, which, full transparency, I was the freaking king of. I was so good at that for so long. I know you guys could probably relate a little bit, but there's some tools that I used along the way that really helped me kind of get out of that mindset and adopting more of that growth mindset like we talked about. And to be honest, looking back, that's changed my life a lot when I figured that little key out. And we've talked about the book, The Secret, and things like that. So we'll kind of chat in about that today. Hey guys, we got some exciting news for you. If you're listening to this, we know that you're committed to upping your game in the arena. And we're teaming up with the Rodeo Now app to help you do just that. The Rodeo Now app allows you to record, upload, and catalog your rides and runs, review your performances in slow motion, and our favorite feature, if you're not familiar with your stock draw, you can search your animal by name to get all the intel you need to make your next ride a winning one. Join the rodeo revolution today and download the Rodeo Now app for free. It's available in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. Hui has the best gear because it's tough, it's durable, it withstands the test of what we put it through, and that is why I am a big supporter of Hui brands. Guys, from hats, apparel, whatever you need, they've got you covered. They are the perfect blend of rodeo style and athletic performance. You can check them out at huibrands.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word, is going to save you a little bit at checkout. Let's talk about the first thing, and I think it's actually identifying those negative self-talk patterns, right? When something goes bad, are you quick to say, well, that sucked, I'm never going to get better at that? Or, are you trying to evaluate other ways to get better? Is there what I do wrong? What can I improve on? There's two big differences in those approaches, right? And one of them is self-destructive. And the one where we're talking about like everything's a catastrophe when it happens, right? I missed a horse out or I missed a workout. Like I'm never gonna succeed now. Like the world's stacked against me now. It's easy to fall into that. And I was a king of that, missing horses out. I don't know what it was, a mental block for sure in my younger days, but I got to that point where I was like, the judges have something against me. Like I know I marked that horse out. And then you watch the video back and like one leg is there and the other one damn sure ain't there. And I couldn't even feel that. And so for a long time, I fought my own head on that and thought everyone was out to get me and I was doing it. And it took a look in the mirror to say, hey man, like, yep, you definitely missed that horse out. That is your fault. We need to take steps back and relearn. Have you guys ever dealt with that kind of self-talk, negative self-talk?
Oh yeah. I think it happens to everybody at some stage in your career. How quickly you're able to identify it and fix it is going to be a huge predictor in your success long term. And I know that for me, it was really important you have to be intentional. You won't fix negative self-talk accidentally. No. So it's something that you have to be able to recognize on the daily, because it's things that, you might say to yourself throughout the day. It doesn't always take place at a rodeo, right? It's like, I mean, it's a habitual way of thinking that needs to be addressed. And so paying attention, and you have to be intentional, and it's going to be hard at first because you're like constantly aware of what am I saying to myself? What's that inner dialogue like? And then being able to track that is helpful as well. And, like some people will write down, like they'll keep a journal of this, like negative self-talk, to be able to keep track of like, what are the situations in which I'm leaning on being negative towards myself? Like, where is there something that triggered it? Like what was going on around that environment, so that you can start to just notice the similarities. And just being aware of it is the hugest thing. You wouldn't start working out if you didn't first realize that you're not in shape. If you think that you're in great shape, you wouldn't work out, right? And so it's the same thing. Just being aware of the fact that it's happening to you, that's half the battle. You're willing to say, yeah, this is something I deal with and I need to be better about it. So I'm going to be intentional and I'm going to write things down like we track time. We've talked a little bit about auditing our time and paying attention to where the time goes and making sure that we spend it wisely. You have to be intentional with your negative self-talk, and you have to be willing to track it down. And it might feel a little silly to write it down on a notes page on your phone, or, keep a notebook and write stuff down. But I'm telling you, if you don't track it, you can't change it. We talk to nutrition clients about that all the time. And so it's really important for you to be aware, be intentional, track it.
Yeah. And if you're someone that it's hard to keep track or like to pay attention to your thoughts. So putting that step of writing it down can be really helpful. What that also does is you kind of get to see, are these actual valid thoughts, or is this just my mind going crazy, right? Yep. So writing it out and saying, once you write it out, I guarantee it, half the time you're gonna be like, that was freaking I sound crazy. Like someone check me into an institute, right? Like that. What am I doing? I'm killing myself here. But you get to see, is this valid? Is this something that I really need to worry about? It really affects me. And also you get to reframe it, and reframing is huge.
Especially when you look at it.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Especially when you look at those things like later on, like a few hours later, or even the next day when you're not in the same emotional state, like then you can really make some progress, because in that state, like you might have those thoughts and be like, yeah, this is 100% valid. But once your mental state changes a little bit, or the emotion of the situation changes a little bit, and you have some time to think about it or cool down or whatever you want to call it, and you look back on it then, and then you're like, oh, well,
you almost laugh,
being a baby,
like,
or I was being silly.
Yeah,
like,
that was dumb.
Like, why did I even put myself in that situation?
And
Exactly.
it doesn't just apply to that negative self-talk, right? I mean, we deal with that. Like,
It's
I know, I'm
everything.
sure Paul and Tyler, you guys have, I mean, we see that in the workplace, but I know I deal with it in my parenting style.
What are you
right?
saying
And,
about the
there are times in
workplace?
which nothing.
Oh.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
Paul
Tyler.
and Tyler.
in work, we
Doug's the
do
one
that as
causing
well,
this
but
shit.
I'm saying Paul and Tyler. Yeah. Okay, I totally see how that sounded, and that's not where I was
like,
going with it. I promise that's not where
damn.
I was going. Paul and Tyler, I'm sure that you understand this because our workplace is so volatile, and our
Paul and
boss
Tyler,
is
I'll
such a
see you
jerk.
guys in the next podcast.
Okay.
Sorry.
Anyway, what I was referring to is I see it in my parenting, and we have those in those emotions, or in conversations with your spouse, right, your partner, your significant other. Like you see those moments in which like emotion just takes over, and we're ruled by emotion, and that's when that negative self-talk will just take over. But then once you have an opportunity to calm down, you're like, cool. Didn't handle that situation well. That was embarrassing, and it's the same thing with that self-talk. And you definitely can allow those emotions to, even if you don't verbalize them, which I highly encourage you. Any thought that pops in your head, negative self-talk, whatever you do, the tongue is the most powerful muscle in the body. Do not verbalize it.
Yep.
You gotta keep it in there. But like, it's okay to be able to look back a few minutes later and be like, yeah, like you guys said, that's not true. I felt that way a little while ago, but it's not true.
Yeah. I think last time we talked about this, Logan, I talked about my like 21-day no complaint challenge that I did several years ago. And then you said that you were going to do the same thing.
Dude, it was a game changer.
How was it? Yeah,
it was a game changer. It was definitely a game changer because what you find what you look for. How many times have we talked about that? I mean, anybody that was in proximity to us during Vegas, I mean, it would hear that quote, because like it was just one of those times where you find what you look for. And so it's amazing how when you're not focusing on verbalizing your complaints, and you're like, I still had them. Don't get me wrong. I still had them. And there was a few times where I verbalized them, but by stopping myself from verbalizing it, man, I was able to not only change the way that what I said, but I also was able to change a little bit of my thinking pattern and how I looked at those situations, and naturally would just want to gripe or complain. You start to change that thinking pattern, and that's everything. Once you can change the way you perceive some sort of problem and take it now as an opportunity, man, my relationships improved, my parenting improved, my job improved, my just a lot of the things that had been issues, big or small, in the past, and they started to change form a little bit just by that was just not verbalizing my complaints. So.
And that naturally brings us into the next thing of like reframing those into positive self-talk. So like you don't have to panic. Like if you're noticing that you're having these negative these negative thoughts or negative self-talk or whatever, you don't have to panic and say like, oh crap, I'm having this all the time. How am I ever going to get out of this? It's actually a good thing, because now you can use them as a trigger. So every time you have that negative self or that negative talk, or you say something, negative or a complaint about yourself or about your situation, about whatever, now that's a trigger. Say like, okay, I recognize that I'm having this. Is this a real thing, or am I kind of blowing it out of proportion? How would I reframe this if I wanted it to be positive? And then you can go through that. And sometimes going from negative to positive is really hard. And I learned about a concept a few years ago called neutral thinking, where just bring it to neutral. Like where it's neither negative nor positive. So if it's like, so like if you have such a poor outlook on the situation that you're like, there's no way I can reframe this as positive, at least reframe it as neutral. Because then it gets you out of the negative state, and you can think of it in a way like.
Give me an example of what that would be.
That's a good. So.
Sorry,
it doesn't have to be.
It would help me understand if I heard an example.
Our earlier example of like skipping a workout. So you have a workout scheduled. You need to get this workout in. Like you have an event or something coming up that you are specifically training for, and every single workout is hinging, or you're putting weight into every single workout session or training session to bring you closer to that goal, and you miss one, and it feels devastating. It might be really hard to reframe that into positive, because there really is not a there's not a positive thing there. Like like, okay, crap, like I dropped the ball, and there's no way that I can look at this as a good thing, but at least I can look at it as like, you know what, like I'm a human, I am on this journey, like at the end of the day, like could this be a good thing, could this be a bad thing, I don't know, but I'm not going to let it negatively affect me. Does that kind of summarize it a little bit? I don't know if that was the best example, but that would be.
Yeah. And it helps you realize that the one workout doesn't make a difference. You know what I'm saying? One workout in and of itself is not going to be the deciding factor for the event that you were training for. And you're
just like one conversation or one interaction with your spouse or whatever. I mean, yeah,
that makes sense.
You get a chance to say you can be better the next day. Like you will be better the next day out of that. It's not like you can't or you can do something different. It's like, okay, yep, I messed up, but I'm not going to sit here and say because of that I am not, able to achieve whatever. It's like you do that, you fall in the hole, and that's when you don't train again the next day. You don't train again the next day, and then all of a sudden you're there and you're like, well, I'm not ready. I pissed this away. This was dumb. It's changing how you view, like you're saying, your perspective, turning those negatives into positives. I've talked about it before, but the restaurant that I worked at, that was like my game, dude. I read The Secret when I worked there. And if you've ever seen Waiting, the movie, if you haven't, you've got to go watch it. But if you have, you'll understand what I'm talking about. The restaurant industry, service industry is a freaking nightmare sometimes. And dealing with people can be hard. And the restaurant industry, for sure, you get some sour employees and some sour servers. And you see how negative everyone can get so quickly. And it was no different at our restaurant. Bunch of college kids working with, the demographic was a lot older than us. It's a small town in Texas, but we were really busy. But it got tough sometimes. And you would see over time, before we'd even open, sometimes people would be pissed off to be there. Like, this, I don't want to deal with this. I got to freaking sling cornbread all day. Like, this is dumb, and our tips sucked. We didn't have fun at work. It took forever to get through. It was not enjoyable. And I read that book and I was like, I'm going to make this a game. And every time I feel like I want to bitch about a table that I'm serving, I'm going to say, nope, I get the opportunity to do this today. This is awesome. And I'm going to make $100 in the shift. And I just kept saying to myself over and over, even if someone bitched at me, I was just like, oh, that's fine. I'm going to make $100 today. I'm going to keep grinding until I do. And most of the time, like 98% of the time, I'd make that hundo and it'd be great. And you would see it started to bleed out. Eventually, the whole culture changed, and everyone was having a blast at work, and everyone was making a ton of money, and picking up doubles, like wanting to be there longer. It was cool, like how the culture changed, and you can do that for yourself. And unless you, like Logan was saying, are intentional about being aware of what you're saying, what's actually coming to your head, you're never going to be able to fix it. And thinking negatively, you could be someone that thinks negatively most of the time. And if I asked you right now if that's how you thought, you'd say, no, I don't. But if you start breaking it down and looking back at it, holy smokes, I do think negatively about things. And it happens. It happens to everyone. I get in that same funk sometimes. I'm just a lot more practiced. I've been doing this since I was 22 was when I read that book, 22. So 12 years of practice at this. And, it's just getting shorter in between the times where I kind of lose track and I'm like, ooh, what am I doing? I need to change how I'm thinking. And so it works, and it is that simple. And what Logan's like kind of was saying, what you feed, what you give attention to is what's going to be reciprocated. If you're putting negative words out there, negative thoughts all the time, I'm telling you right now, negative things are going to happen. Start turning that into positive thoughts, expecting nothing less than positive. I promise positive things will start to happen. But you've got to get out of that, I can't do this, or I suck at this, and start reframing how you're thinking about it and talking to yourself about it.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. And I think that part of that changing your mindset is seeing yourself being able to do the thing, right? If you can stop saying I can't do that, or I'm just a failure, or I'm this, but if you can't actually see yourself in your mind's eye, like visualization, whatever you want to call it, if you can't actually see yourself being the kind of person that does that, your self-talk isn't going to make a huge difference, right? You have to be able to reframing the self-talk is a way in which you can reinforce the person that you want to be. And so spending some time thinking about, I do that I do that relatively regularly, even not as a competitor. When I was riding, I spent a lot of time visualizing, and I'm not going to say that I'm diligent about it every day, but I spend a lot of time thinking about and seeing myself in 10 years, in 20 years. Where do I want to be? Who do I want to be? What does that guy think like? What does that guy say? Like, how does that person act? And then I start to see myself in that light, and I can change my actions today based on who I want to be in 10 years, right? And so that visualization is a key part, I think, of changing your mindset. We're able to put a Band-Aid on it by reframing those negative phrases into at least neutral or positive. Like that is definitely something you should do and will help. The other portion of that, I think, is like being able to see yourself actually do the thing and practicing that as a skill, because that's also, if you've never visualized before, it's
Hard.
it's hard. It is not an easy thing to do, especially if you've never done it before. Just like walking in the gym, you wouldn't have never been in the gym before and go do curls with a 50-pound dumbbell. You're going to start with the 10s, and then you're going to go to the 15s. It's the same thing with visualization. It is going to take time.
A 50-pound dumbbell.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Anyway, that's a whole different conversation. But you have to practice it.
Yeah,
you got to put in the work, and you got to put in the time. But if you can see yourself as the person that does the thing that you want to not do, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you can see yourself as that person that rides bulls away from your hand, man, I just can't get with bulls away from my hand. I don't know what's going on. Every time I draw something away from my hand, I fall off. And you're having those thoughts, and then you get your stock drawn, you look him up, and guess what? He goes left, away from my hand. Oh no, not another bull that goes away from my hand. And guess what, buddy? Man, round the end of the gate, one round, boom, done, on your head. Why? Because you know that you do well. If you just started reframing those thoughts, like you can acknowledge I have struggled with bulls away from my hand in the past, but that's something I'm actively working. You don't have to pretend and be like, I ride bulls away from my hand great, and you've bucked off the last 10 in a row away from your hand. Like, you don't have to, try to. I have struggled with bulls away from my hand before, but that's something I'm actively working on. And in the near future, I'm going to ride bulls away from my hand really, really well. And then guess what? Sit down and see yourself ride bulls away from your hand really, really well. And if you can be consistent with that, you're going to see a dramatic improvement in your riding percentage on bulls away from your hand.
I think there's.
I'm not the bull riding guru, so correct me if I'm wrong there,
No.
Paulie. But
no, that's right on, and I think that that's another example of like going to neutral instead of going to positive. So like you're detaching yourself from the immediate outcome, and then I guess deciding to work on it in the future.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would even add that, like, if you are somebody that struggles with the visualization side, there are plenty of videos on YouTube, and I've sent them to clients, where they will guide you through your visualization to get it started. And then over time, you just get better and better at that, and you'll be able to do it on your own.
Yeah, you can search guided meditation or guided visualization for athletes on YouTube, and you'll get a plethora of searches.
That's sick.
Yeah, that's actually a really, really good idea. That's huge.
That's been something that this week I've been trying to get back into a regular meditation practice. I used to do it a lot, like hardly ever miss a day, and then I haven't done it in a long time. And then so like every day for the past 5 or 6 days, I've been back into it, and I get to a point where I don't need the guided meditation. Like I can just sit down and make the room dark, focus on my breathing, like get my little system going, and can work on visualization that way. But I've been utilizing the guided meditations on YouTube this past week, because it helps kind of just bring everything back. And the biggest thing of with visualization or meditation is like your mind is going to wander, and that's where most people give up. but that's what you want. Again, like earlier with the negative thoughts, like don't fear the negative thoughts. Those are the trigger. And so like when your mind wanders, when you're meditating, that's the trigger. And every time you bring your mind back to the focus that you're trying to focus on, that's a positive. So just like with exercise, we make gains by struggling in the gym. You have to struggle in your meditation practice to get better at it.
Mm-hmm.
That's,
I like that.
mental toughness. That's where you get to practice mental
That's what
toughness
you're
in a
training.
very controlled setting. That's everyone thinks it's this go kill yourself thing, but it's that. And that's what I love mobility for as well, is it makes you slow down and be really uncomfortable with all of it. And you just have, if you can slow down, focus on your breathing and count your breath, and all of a sudden that time is up and it's gone like that, dude, you become a superhero. Like you're mastering your mind at that point. It's huge. But yeah, it's awesome. And when I was listening to you guys kind of chat about all this and what Logan was talking about there, the visualization is tough. It is like probably one of the hardest things to get started, especially if you've never been there. Like you've never ridden a bull around 2 jumps away from your hand or something like that, right? What about kind of reframing your goals in ways that will kind of attribute that, and what I mean, or help that? And what I mean by that is, so say you're not riding bulls away from your hand well, and you're just entering rodeos, and that's how you're trying to get your practice. You're trying to get your reps in, right? And we all know that's not going to go well. That's if it ever does become a successful attempt, right? You have to work on everything. And if you're sitting there just trying to visualize a bull going away from your hand and you've never been there, it's going to be pretty tough. Do you guys ever think about maybe an athlete taking that step back and kind of realizing like my skill level is not there to be entering? I need to go focus on going to get on practice bulls that go away from my hand. And maybe it's a level 1, you can ride them. That doesn't matter. I feel like you're still getting the confidence, you're getting those reps and building slowly from there. And then in turn, the further you get each ride on these lower level bulls, you increase the level a little each time or whatever as you're successful, but you're able to see that get further and further. So you're able to picture it all, visualize it all, feel it all, which is going to make the visualization part that much more real. And then you're getting so much more out of it. And then when you need your body to take over, it's actually able to do that in a rodeo or competitive setting rather than just black out and go dead, right?
Yep.
Just a thought on that whole thing. This all goes together, right? It's all the self-sabotage, the mental toughness, the visualization, everything is tied to the physical preparation, the doing the thing, the actual skill practice. Like you have to do all of it together. And if you're trying to skip levels at one thing is what I'm getting at, you're not going to reach your full potential because everything has to move up together, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And to give an example of that, I'm going to try to not call him out, but detail the interaction as best I can. In Vegas, we were talking with a bull rider, former NFR qualifier, capable of producing a 90-point ride on any given day. And he was like, man, I've been having hell lately. Like I can't, like I've bucking off bulls that I know I should ride. And I asked him, I was like, when's the last time you went and just got on practice bulls just for fun? And he was like, oh, I haven't. And I'm like, there you go, man. Like that's your answer. Like go back to having fun. Go hear the whistle again. Like it's not that his skill wasn't there, but his self-sabotage had gotten so severe that he was in a point where he felt like he couldn't ride anything. And that wasn't, it just wasn't true. Like it wasn't the case, but he had to get himself out of that mental state. And the easiest way to do that was to go to a practice pen in a controlled environment, select a bull that he knows he can ride, and then maybe, get on as many as he needs to until he can get out of that mental funk. And
absolutely.
So
it's, I literally did that same thing this whole off season. I purposely did not enter. I only entered 3 rodeos, since last September.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time was just straight practice because I felt last summer I wasn't riding the way that I should, or wasn't finishing bulls the way that I needed to. And I just became self-aware of that and was like, no, I have to take this step back and just get on stuff that I know I can handle and work my way up. And then unfortunately injury happens, but like I felt more prepared heading into this summer rodeos than I've felt probably in the last 5 years. just from doing that.
That's awesome. Yeah, it works, man. It's a huge part of being successful in this is being real with yourself about where you are and taking that step back, or maybe it's time to take that step forward. We've dealt with athletes on both ends of that spectrum there, where guys scared to take that leap when they're so ready, and like we know and believe in them and know they can go win, but they don't quite believe in themselves, or almost the opposite of like over belief in what a guy can do, and they're entering so deep and they're just getting absolutely hammered. But it's I'm gonna do it better next day. It's like, dude, you just got to be real with yourself here. Like let's be honest and do this correctly, because we've said it a million times. You only get so many reps at this, and especially in the ref stock. Like we don't know how many times you get to do it. You just do it until you can't, and hopefully you're lucky enough to be in charge of getting to say when you're done doing it, because a lot of guys don't. But there's a lot of things that you can do that can help you be the master of that decision, and your mental toughness, visualizing, overcoming self-sabotage, your physical training, strength training, they all are parts of the puzzle, like we've said, and you've got to work on each one of those things to be successful at this. Otherwise, you're just leaving your full potential kind of out there to the wind, and that's not going to work anymore in the sport. There are way too many people training very smartly, very intelligently, and the game is smartly. That should be a dictionary. There you go.
That's what we should put that on a shirt. Champion Living Fitness. Train smartly.
I want to get can't as the real C word.
Yeah.
That's what I want to get.
I think that one's a must. Like that needs to happen.
I think so. I've been thinking about it since we've said like how much like overcoming that I can't do something. I was like, oh, that has to be a shirt for us. That has to be. That'll be a world changer. You guys got anything else to wrap this up?
Nope, man. I think that was solid. Get after it.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys got something out of this. Hopefully it was helpful about self-sabotage. It happens to everyone in rodeo, in business, in relationships, all of the above. Yeah. If you're feeling like that, you're feeling, anxiety, like nothing's going right, start paying attention to how you're thinking and how you're talking to yourself. Might change everything for you. Guys,
and just nope. Go ahead.
No, you. Nope. Nope.
Okay.
Ruined it.
Last thing, like to just hinge off of that was like you could be doing things right. Like you could be in a good mental space and you could be doing things correctly in one area of your life, but in another area you might be stuck in either a fixed mindset or be having negative self-talk. And so you have to look at each area of your life and not just kind of the whole picture and say like, oh, well, this is going well, but I really suck at this other thing, I'm
glad that we waited for that.
Okay, you can end the podcast now.
That was good info. That was good.
We waited for that.
No, for real, that was good. That is true. That is true. You can be great at doing great in one area, and the other area you are sabotaging yourself. You don't even realize it. So pay attention to how you're thinking, how you're talking, and until next time, we'll catch you later. Here's the deal. Lots of rodeo gear companies are coming out, but not all are equal. Beastmaster is really setting the bar when it comes to the equipment that is built for durability and designed for success in the arena. You guys can check them out at beastmasterrodeo.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving24. That's ChampionLiving24. Going to save you a little bit at checkout. Y'all, if you're having trouble sleeping or you've got really achy muscles, Power Pro CBD has teamed up with us to bring you their tinctures and their warming lotions. Guys, these have been a crucial part of my nightly routine. Y'all can check them out at PowerPro, PWRpro.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word, to save you a good chunk of discount.
If you want to learn more about our coaches and program options, make sure to swing over to our website at www.championlivingfitness.com. You can fill out the Become an Athlete form to set up your free consultation and have all your questions answered by a coach.